for would be a very brief budget review for each office department. In my mind, it would be if we were to take the approved fiscal year's budget and have each department or office look at what their anticipated spend, income, revenue, and expenses would be for each month. And obviously that's going to differ. It's not going to be divided by 12 because there's going to be different ebbs and flows and cycles for different offices and departments. But in my mind, that would be just a good key performance indicator if we were to each say, what did we anticipate spending and or seeing for revenue in the past month? What was the actual? And if there's a delta there, can we understand why that occurred, and do we need to consider any corrective action going forward from a budget perspective? And then the second item for me would just be, does anyone from any of these departments or offices have a county-wide coordination item that we should discuss? If it's just between, two or three, just a few departments, I think that should happen offline. But if there's something that impacts a majority or all of the county, then in my mind, this would be the meeting for us to bring forward such a conversation and create as much awareness and feedback as we can. But I'd like to see us really have a couple of very brief and focused discussion points and actually review data on the budget, and then just be as efficient as we can to conclude the meeting, unless we do have some special training or a larger conversation to engage in.
Okay, I agree with you, Brian. So the budgets are on the agendas, and everyone is supposed to be discussing that when they give their report. It may or may not be happening, but it is supposed to be included in the report. I do share your sentiments as far as making our meetings more productive, because it does seem like it's just a report. Seems like all the departments heads and the electeds are just giving a report. And I don't really know what we're all getting out of that, other than we get to see each other all together once a month, which is great. But I would rather see these meetings be a little more interactive myself. If there's a department or an elected official that needs something from a different elected official or a different department head, I think this is where that conversation should take place myself. And I'm open to suggestions on how to make it better, or how it used to work better years past, versus just spending an hour and a half getting reports from everybody.
So I had made that suggestion that we do that this time be used if we needed to do across the board training for people, my more focus on the budget, but all of the other, this is what I'm working on. I personally don't see that as useful, because that's what the whole liaison relationship was intended to do, is kind of give that transparency for what's being worked on. I equally agree that what gets reported should be something that we're needing to communicate to everybody, because otherwise we don't need to wait, every month to tell another department what we need if there's a need to collaborate. But I think that one of the reasons that we put the request for the budget is so that we're supposed to be tracking the budget as we go forward throughout the year, and so that there's no surprises of where are we with the spend. That also helps the clerk's office. And essentially, once we pass the budget, we're working on the next budget. And so we need to be more transparent, and I think that's reasonable to do here. But in terms of this is what I'm working on, I agree that for me, it's a waste of time, because a lot of these departments actually forward in their own update and tell us already what they're working on. And so this is just a duplication of what we get from the other departments anyhow, unless you're going to focus on training. I would also argue that there's an option to say, do we need to do this every single month? Because I don't know that we need it every single month, unless we're seeing some changes budget-wise, because we should be tracking. That's the big piece, is the budget tracking and where we are, unless something else happened. So I could be argued against the skipping some months. I just feel like, because when you're all in this room, we're not working. We're just having a conversation.
Would you consider quarterly if you didn't want to do monthly? Or just maybe have them go to the liaison?
Perhaps?
See, someone always takes it too far, and then you have to do it every week.
Every other month.
Now we're down to
Every
weekly.
week.
Now we're
You
at
blew it,
weekly.
Mike.
Yeah, no. But a lot of people are, and in their updates, they're already telling us some information about their budgets too. So that's, I agree with changing it. So,
And if I could just clarify, in case I didn't say it well, the piece about the monthly budget update that I would like to see is what was anticipated for revenue and expenditures in that past month versus actual, and you know what I mean? Because certain departments are going to have much higher spend rates during the seasons and times of year where they're more active, where it's not going to be a consistent spend each month and a consistent revenue. It's there are ebbs and flows, and I know that the departments they understand that and they're tracking that. I think reporting that out so that we can see and understand and just determine whether or not there's any kind of a concerning trend that was unanticipated. To me, that's a valuable key performance indicator that we should be looking at. It's a very brief, if there's nothing concerning, here are the numbers, I'm done. It's 1 minute, 2 minutes. It's the only reason there would be an involved conversation is if something's happening outside of what was expected, maybe that's worth having a discussion about.
Yes, sir.
I don't have a mic.
That's a good
Oh,
thing.
no.
I think you were
I just
offered
wanted to
one and you
point that out.
declined
Yeah.
the mic.
We'll just leave you that one, we'll just take this one.
I mean, I'm trying to understand the point of having my monthly update. If I have to do it here, should I just cancel my monthly update with Road and Bridge?
So that's
Or
why
should I
I
just
think
wait
we're
and
saying
do it?
because you do a monthly update, we don't need to do that update here.
Right, so would it be just do all the department heads do a monthly update or just a few?
Just a few of them.
Because I feel like we're always saying the same thing over. It's kind of wasted time, especially when it follows up the very next week for our monthly update. And then a brief overview for me with you guys with my budget. It's going to take more than a couple minutes. Just,
You're never brief.
yeah, I'm not brief.
I
The
think
budget's
that,
pretty
I
big.
think that for you though, that part of what, the update is more of where are we at with our burn rate, of the budget? Are we having things, for example, like, I think that the other thing I would add into the things that impact your budget in terms of how many claims have we had also, because that's one that kind is an unanticipated hit to a budget. And I think that what your budget is and probably law enforcement budget of looking at what do we want to see and kind of narrowing that down in terms of a budget update, because some of these budgets are going to be very static for the whole year, because they're like recording is not, there's not going to be a big bump at all. But for road and bridge, I think maybe outlining what do we want to see. You liaison with Ron or Brian. And so maybe you and Brian can work together to see what does, in terms of this meeting, what does a budget review update look like of the key metrics? That might be a way to go for that particular budget.
Okay.
Because in
And
terms
then
of,
that would be held in my update, my monthly update or in this meeting.
I think that the budget piece would be here. And then in your other your monthly update, that's where we're just going in your department based on your different districts and what we're coming up on, like, here's where we're plowing and this is, I think that's that kind of update. This one would be the financial update.
All right. That works for me.
Is that in line with what you were thinking, Commissioner Domke?
It is, because I think if this meeting, this group is focused on how's our budget tracking, I think that's a very focused conversation and we can be really efficient about it. And again, if I wouldn't ask people to talk through point by point, it would be the very first time you present it, here's what it looks like, here's why, just for awareness. But then after that, in my opinion, and this is what I'm used to doing in private sector, it would be, I'm only speaking for any length of time about my budget if something is not tracking against what was planned. If I'm out, significantly outside of what was planned, that's why we're having a conversation to say something unexpected happened. Here's what it is. And there may be valuable conversation to be had in the room about it because there's an anomaly. But if things are on track, that's the update. Here are the numbers, I'm on track. We don't need to have a conversation. Does that make sense? Because then what am I doing? How am I doing it? That is the other meeting, that update meeting we have with a department that has more complexity, and that's why we're having that update meeting. So in my mind, if we can, as a group, focus on, do we have special training? Let's go through and make sure that we're tracking as a county by department our budgets well, so that we're all on the same page, that we're not having an overall budget issue, just because that needs to be a primary focus in my mind. And I think we're going to be more efficient overall.
So I'm just sitting here listening to the conversation, and I'm just kind of curious if that is starting to get outside of the scope of the purpose of this meeting. And to kind of be more expedient while we have everybody captive here, listening to everybody's information and budget, I kind of was under the understanding that we were wanting to kind of talk about how each department and each elected official interacts with the rest of the county. I'm not sure, I'm not opposed to it, Brian, but I'm just not sure that if we need to take up everyone's time listening to everyone's budget for the month or the 2 months or the quarter, whatever we decide on changing these meetings to, and maybe that could be done in an email to the commissioners and the staff type thing.
I think for me, the value of talking about the budget in the open is, even though each individual department has its own budget, some of these budgets impact other budgets. And that's part of when we're taking a look at the county's budget as a whole, as commissioners, as we're taking into account how we're going to allocate funds, having the open conversation on budget matters. Because like when I look out, I know everybody's going to ask for something, but in my mind, one of the things I'm still kind of dangling on is recording has asked us consistently to help do something budget-wise, and part of the conversation will help us track when can we do the ask, because they're bringing forward something that the community has asked for that we have not funded. It's a little bit bigger of a conversation because not everybody sits into all of the budget hearings, and until this last budget cycle was different, where we went a little bit more granular, but we didn't go all the way down to the bottom to say, how are we going to achieve some of these outcomes? And sometimes how one department spends money impacts another department, and hearing that lets us kind of have that conversation, because kind of doing zero-based budgeting is one aspect, but sometimes you do budgeting where everyone is able to see if Asia gets this dollar amount of money, Asia's dollar amount took it from this person. And then it allows us to do was Asia's issue greater than the other issue there? And sometimes you don't know it if you're not hearing the things that impact somebody's budget, because some budgets, the justice budget is very large. What makes it very large? We don't really look at that. We just kind of always said it always has been very large, but the why and where is the money going, and is it going in the right spots? Even if we decide we don't want to do it another time, I feel like that's part of the gap within this county, is not fully seeing where the money is going and planning for where the money needs to go so we get ahead of some of the things that are coming our way. So I think that's what the department head meeting is supposed to be about, for us to talk about the financial impacts, what we're working on in terms of projects. To me, that's the liaison function, and then the commissioner should be saying this is what is being worked on. For me, when I feel like we're coming up on a transition with technology where they reasonably should be taking up a lot of this meeting to help the organization shift from what we are doing to what we're going to be doing, not just us saying, I'm working on the building outline. Not that the building outline's not important, it's just, that's an email conversation, not an hour and a half.
And one other thing I'd like to say, since we're talking about money and budgets, the office with the largest budget in the county is not present. So I don't know if we can do anything to rectify that or not, but when we're talking about budgets and making sure that everything is on pace, I think somehow we need to make sure that we have someone from the sheriff's office reporting. It's a little disturbing. Anything else, Commissioner Domke?
No, that was what I wanted to focus on for this conversation today, was to say I'd like us to take a step back and evaluate how we could better utilize this time. And I think at the end of the day, we can utilize it effectively, but if we're not going to, then we shouldn't encumber people's time. So I'd like us to continue this conversation, and maybe what we can do is have it continue over email and then come to resolution at next month's meeting so that we have a plan going forward. Does that sound reasonable to the others?
Yeah, I'm good
We're
with
going to have a meeting next month?
I think we should, because I think we should determine what the purpose and agenda would be if we're going to continue to have monthly meetings with this group.
I agree.
All right.
Thank you.
You bet. Commissioner Williams.
So I'll kind of dovetail off of what Commissioner Korn commented on is I do think that we should have the budgets represented. I am working with Sheriff's Office on budgets, what is needed, and I think the more we have that collaborative approach, the better in the county as a whole, especially with the largest budget that drives the county. So I am working with Sheriff Wheeler on that, and I will make the comment that maybe we should have somebody physically present. I know that he watches this by YouTube, but that's not the same as giving an update from the Sheriff's Office. So I'm back into internal auditing. It is a function of the Board of Commissioners. So now that we've got some differences that have changed with the prosecutor's office, I'm going back to the starting point for me is HR. So you'll see me focusing on that. I'm working on the budget now in terms of where do we need to go, because once you pass a budget, like I said, you're really starting on the next budget. I just want to kind of give our meetings aren't intended to be opportunities for gotcha moments for other departments or to be to show politics in the county. It makes people feel uncomfortable. And so I just want to be mindful that if you think something is not going right in the county, before coming forward in terms of as a county representative in a county meeting, have that conversation with people versus trying to use the open public forum as a I gotcha moment, because there's a difference between staff, there's a difference between elected, and there's a need to manage the risk associated with some of these cross interactions with people. Also, giving notice to somebody that you think something's wrong in an open forum and then having it not be wrong in the end, it creates for negative interaction in the county as a whole. And so we can show professional courtesy by saying, hey, I think this is wrong, and then have a conversation, but not using our open meeting as that forum, because it creates a work environment that is not good for the people, but also that's what the public sees. And so I wanted to give that comment in terms of how we use our meetings. Our meetings there's a difference between an elected office giving an update. There's a difference between a department giving an update. There's a difference between what our obligation is to public comment on the different platforms. But all in all, we should be mindful that how we communicate impacts the county brand, but also the people that work here. And so we don't want to be a county that is seen as just negative and infighting and not working together in a collaborative approach. It's not cute, but it doesn't make us all look good. It doesn't make the individuals look good. So I wanted to make that comment. I've gotten comments from the public about the way in which sometimes we're interacting with each other. And my response is, sometimes I don't know that it's intentional. I think it could just be people that have a genuine question and they think that the business meeting is the time to do that. But it's a business, and we should be mindful of that. We're getting a lot of we're making a lot of good progress in our county, but we create unnecessary speed bumps when we don't show kindness to our other staff members. So working on a lot of things that I don't think really need an update, because you hear it in my Tuesday update, but in terms of staffing, the internal audit process is restarting. So I look forward to working with the different individuals over in HR on that, with a huge focus on insurance. That's also something that's being worked on. And actually, I think the other thing we'll have to address as commissioners is, do we want the ambulance district to be part of this meeting? You could combine the two and say they could reasonably give an update of the financial aspect of the ambulance district in this meeting. So
I
that's
would
something
prefer
worth-
not to do that myself, since we're trying to segregate as best as possible. We do meet with them a couple times a month, and they do give us their financials at that time. I don't want to muddy the waters, if you will, figuring out which hat I'm wearing at that time. So I would like to keep it separated myself.
Just something to consider, just which way do we want their budget update to go? And I see the value in doing it either way. Just wanted to bring that up. So that's all I wanted to report out.
Okay.
And Teddy's not in.
Excuse me.
Said Teddy's not in because I keep saying there's a piece of wood that sticks out on my side.
Got a saw.
There was a hammer under there, but it's gone.
I hit it. I just got a couple things real quick that pertain to most everybody. That's what I'd like to keep it limited to. I just want to make the comment that my office is always open to anybody that ever wants to talk or has a concern or whatever is on your mind, and you don't feel comfortable going to HR for one reason or the other. Please know that you can come talk to me about whatever it is that you would like to discuss. And the only other thing I have is that I hope that most of you enjoy your 4-day Thanksgiving weekend this year. All right, on to elected officials updates. Dennis Engelhardt, the assessor's office.
We're almost done with our statutory required visits. The county staff is reporting very friendly and cordial visits with the property owners that they see. We have one person in the office who's contemplating retirement, so we may have a vacancy here in the near future. As far as budget is concerned, I don't have any concerns or anomalies to report at this point in the fiscal year.
Thank you. Mike Rosedale, clerk's office.
The only thing I want to say is we have an election coming up tomorrow, and if we were on YouTube, this might be a little more valuable, but I'm going to reiterate which precincts do not have an election. I ran into more people over the weekend that were planning to vote and telling everybody to get out and vote, and I personally know none of those people had anything to vote on. So the precincts that do not have an election at all are Algoma, Clagstone, Gamlin Lake, Lamb Creek, Priest Lake, Sagal, Southside, Spirit Valley, Westman, and Renco. That's all I've got.
Is that on the website or something by chance? or-
It's on the website, it's in the newspapers, it's on the radio, it's everywhere,
Awesome.
but nobody checks.
Yeah, right. Is it on your Facebook page? I don't have a Facebook. You might want to think about that. Nope. Is early voting still going on?
No.
No, that's done. So if you haven't voted, you have to vote tomorrow.
Tomorrow's it.
All right. Thank you. Robert Beers, Coroner's Office.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. Just want to kind of off of what Asia was saying, if anybody's bad mouthing me, it's probably true. So
We know that.
for right now. Anyway, we recently had investigated 2 overdose deaths within a 24-hour period, and we had learned that there was a third that was transported out to Spokane, and they're most likely fentanyl overdose deaths. And then Kootenai County also had one in the same time frame. So clearly there's not that there's a good batch of drugs that ever comes to the community, but there's a bad batch of fentanyl out there. So just make sure you notify your loved ones if they're struggling with addiction issues. I did also want to thank the sheriff's office and EMS and dispatch in particular. One of the families that we dealt with on one of those cases was very appreciative of all 3 of those departments, and especially dispatch for providing them with CPR instructions over the phone. They were very, very appreciative of it and wanted to make note of that. I also want to say thanks to the assessor Dennis and clerk Rosedale and treasurer Coster for getting back to me last week with that chief deputy form that I asked for assistance with. Thank you so much for that, guys. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Prosecutor's office, is there anyone here representing the prosecutor's office?
I'll give a comment on theirs. When you guys have something that needs to go to the prosecutor's office, we need to make sure we have notified them of what we need from them when we're asking for something, because Nate, depending on where it gets routed, the prosecutor is going to have Robert come and do kind of a introduction to all the elected officials, because outside of the commissioners, Robert's going to work with the other elected officials. We need to make sure that we're giving enough time for a response. For if you need Nate to have to review something, you have to give him enough time for that review before the meeting instead of kind of last minute, because he's taking on there's quite a bit of legal stuff going on with the board that's taking up some time. And if you have sent him a request and he has not answered, be okay reaching out to your liaison or picking up the phone, because we can expedite getting it resolved. But one of the things that we were going to ask that they identify what does he need to review versus just sending him everything. But if you want him to physically be in a meeting that you have scheduled, we have to know the legal reason why, because whenever we're pulling someone out of their desk, then they're not doing the work that we've sent them to do. So we need him to know why you need him, so he can kind of give that advice as to, does he feel he really needs to be there, or is it just a courtesy, so that we can make sure we're balancing that work product that they have in their office. So hopefully Robert gets to do his tour for everybody else. And I do know specifically that Lewis is placing Robert over the fair to be that kind of conduit, as well as the legal counsel for that group.
Thank you. Sheriff's office. Any representatives here from the sheriff's office today? Seeing none. Treasurer's office.
They're out collecting money.
Boy, no one here from the treasurer's office. All right. Department heads, airports, Dave Shuck. Do not see him online. Elections.
Mike already gave that one.
Pretty sure she's busy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this too.
Going down the list here, Commissioner's office.
Okay, so to kind of dovetail off of what Asia was saying, there are 2 new civil attorneys, and if you are a department under the BOCC, your attorney will be Nate Adams. If you are not under the BOCC, your attorney will be Robert Abel. And as Asia said, if you need legal review for an agenda item, please try to give them adequate time. It used to be in the past 2 weeks, so if you have a contract that needs to be reviewed, please get it to Robert or Nate 2 weeks before you need it on the agenda, so that we have ample time to make sure it's reviewed properly. The other thing I would suggest is, if it's a renewal, please let him know that it's a renewal, because oftentimes they can expedite the renewals faster if it's just, say, a fee increase, but everything else in the contract has been reviewed previously and approved. They can expedite your review a lot faster if they know that. If you don't know, oftentimes you can get the prior contract and send it along with him, so he can review the prior contract and see that there are no changes, or you can highlight the changes that have happened in that contract, so that he can review it faster. Okay, so on that, and again, I think one of them said this too, we'd like to encourage you to use your liaisons, so that if you have an item that needs to be addressed, there's oftentimes they can fix it then instead of having a full-blown meeting. So contact staff or directly your liaison if you prefer, and have those meetings to discuss those topics. And then if we need to have a full-blown meeting, we're happy to schedule that for you. I'm not saying you have to that we won't schedule meetings for you, but I am encouraging you to go see your liaison first. Also, we do have a few holiday items coming up. There's Thanksgiving coming up, and Commissioner Domke had asked that we do a food drive for the holiday season, so I am going to put boxes downstairs early so that if you guys do have non-perishable foods, you can put them in the boxes and we'll deliver them to the food banks as they fill up. And we'll start that actually pretty soon. I'll get some boxes and get that going pretty soon so that we can contribute to Thanksgiving. And then for Christmas, we do have our Christmas party coming up. And we're looking for some volunteers to help with setup and cleanup. So please contact our staff if you have staff that would like to help. That'd be great. And the other item that I'm looking for is we are going to do like an ugly sweater contest, and there's a few other things we're planning. And if you guys have items at home that you'd like to donate, that, you know, unused preferably, but like say you got a white elephant gift and you didn't like it, but, you know, bring it in and we can use them as prizes for whoever wins these fun little contests. So any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Court, Serling. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you, but we could read your lips.
How
There
about, how about now?
That's
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
Okay. So we're still, last week, the Supreme Court was here and they migrated us over to the state network. So all except one employee has been moved to the state network, so we're no longer on the county network. The Zoom is still part of the county because they have more cabling to do that they didn't realize needed to be done. So they'll be coming back to change that over. I'm not sure when that's happening. Hopefully sooner rather than later. They haven't given me a date on that yet. So I also want to thank the commissioners on concerning Juneteenth. So the courthouse will be closed that day because that's what the state has us closed that day. And of course, we'll be working the day after Thanksgiving. So anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you. DMV, Jolene. Jolene, DMV. If you're talking, we can't hear you. You're muted.
She may have stepped away from her desk.
I can come back to her. Emergency management, Bob.
Oh, yeah. So it's been a busy month. October, we did participate in several after-action reviews regarding the Sunset Fire. Went to state level, and we held our own down at the multi-use facility. To the IOM conference, preparedness conference last week, where I participated on a panel discussion regarding the Sunset Fire. Other than that, we're just waiting for the grants to be released from the federal government.
Thank you. Engineering, Spencer.
We're good. Our budgets is good. One thing, our RFQ is scheduled to be in front of you guys December 12th, I think. So we're just kind of waiting for legal. So we're moving forward on that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Extensions office, Jennifer.
Hello. I don't have too much to report. Our budget's on track. We do have a couple things that I've been working with Veronica to have the legal review our snow removal contract, a new lease agreement for a copier, and then our annual agreement with the University of Idaho that hopefully it's on the agenda for Tuesday, so hopefully we're ready to go for that. Other than that, everything else is going good.
Thank you. Fairgrounds, Mark. I don't see him online. GIS, Michael. Mike. I wonder if everybody got the notification that today was a meeting. Human Resources, Jonathan.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Had a very productive meeting, webinar with the Idaho Department of Labor last week. Learned some very interesting information about the unemployment insurance claims process and what burdens are on the employer when you separate the employment relationship with somebody. So taking some time to digest that and hopefully have some good info and training to share with the rest of the team. I'll be going to the Fair Board meeting tonight to introduce myself, to have a touch point there, and I believe Robert is going to be there as well. We have a biometric screening event for the county on November 19th. I think we have 31 people signed up so far. Today's the last day to sign up. So for participating in the wellness portion of the benefits is an opportunity where you don't have to schedule an appointment to go see your provider away from work. We'll have the opportunity for that biometric testing, second floor HR conference room on the 19th. But today is the last day to sign up, so please encourage your people to go do that. And then just, one beggar leading another, where to find bread. I've been encouraged lately reading a professional development leadership book called 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. We're all leaders in here. We all should be constantly pursuing development professionally as we lead our teams. So more than happy to talk more about that offline or share info about that if you're interested, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Justice Services, Ron.
Good morning. We're a little short-staffed right now. We have one of our JPOs is out on FMLA, and so he could certainly use some prayers. There's also a PTO donation request out for him, so if folks are running high on their PTO, it would be very helpful if they would look at donating to this young man. He's got 5 kids under the age of 18. He's just a good, solid human being, so my 2 cents on that. Also, detention-wise, we did offer a position out. Young man's going to start on November 17th. So that is good. And then we have another offer out for another gentleman currently resides in the state of Texas. And so he's working on relocation planning and bringing his family out here. His wife's family is from the area, so that's always helpful. So that should help us out a little bit there. Budget-wise, we're in good shape, no issues that I'm aware of at this point. We are going to hold interviews this Thursday for the adult misdemeanor supervisor position, so hopefully we'll be able to fill that. We have 3 in-house applicants and 1 application from outside of the agency, so that's always good to have as a different face to consider. The JPO position, we only had 1 applicant. Well, we had 2, but 1 applicant pulled their application. So we only have 1 application, so we're working on finalizing that with HR. So other than that, I think we're good.
Thank you, Ron. Noxious weeds, Jace.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much in data management and compilation mode right now, although I'm still doing some landowner consults on fall specific treatments. In terms of the budget, the state has the projected budget deficit, so who knows how that's going to look for funding of various programs. It's November and December I put together the Selkirk Cooperative Weed Management Area annual operating plan to apply for the state noxious weed cost share funding, which we use to help fund our standing landowner compliance assistance programs. And it's a bit quiet on that front right now, but I'm going to keep rattling every cage in Boise that I can to, try to get answers on what's going on there. And I guess to contribute to the conversation here on, possibly evolving this meeting into something else. I mean, I still think that the monthly shared document to provide, written operational updates is a good thing. I mean, I would be in favor of at minimum keeping that. And if this hour, once a month evolves to something a bit more focused rather than more broad and general, I think we have departments like HR and risk and technology that, obviously affect all of us. If, the time needed to be spent, with them having most of the floor, and we do a budget check-in, I'd be good with that. This does kind of feel like a weather report at times, like we're just checking a box, like, okay, we're scheduled for this once a month because this is what we've always done, kind of a thing. So there's other ideas on improving. I'm good with that. And in terms of like maybe utilizing the hour for external training, if we had Seth Grigg or someone from the IAC staff to provide county government education, or at the end of the legislative session to invite one of our state legislators to say, these are the bills that passed that could affect budgets that affect county governments, or bills that, affect statutory services, I think would be beneficial education. So that's it.
Thank you, Chase. Planning, Alex.
Probably Jason has it on your side.
So we have, still have an opening for the director position. We will be having an opening. I just received a resignation letter from one of our employees for our hearing coordinator position, so we'll be advertising for that position shortly. Budget appears to be on track, a little less expenditures, obviously, because we're not spending money on wages and salaries for a director. As far as things that are going on in our department, the board's well aware of what we're got going on with our with a couple of code amendments and with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. As far as statutory requirements, we have some areas of impact hearings coming up next week and the following week. We have, I've heard from all of one city that currently has areas of impact in our county. I believe that would be Spirit Lake, and I'm waiting to see if they're proposing anything into our county or not. So we should be wrapped up by that. We have to be wrapped up with it before the end of this year. So we should be wrapped up sometime in December.
Thank you, Alex. Public Works, I don't see Teddy around.
Teddy isn't here, but I'll give a comment on that about when people have a need for something to be fixed or altered or changed in the building, that we follow the process of giving a ticket so that she can track it, but not a call someone you know to call someone you know to say, hey, this needs to be repaired. That, because part of the ticket allows for tracking, but also allows us to identify kind of staffing needs as well. And so making sure that we give, and that the same will be for technology as well, putting in the tickets that go to those respective departments for repairs is what we need to make sure that we're doing on Public Works side. And please, so if you have a heater in your office because it's blowing frosty air in there, we got to make sure that we're turning those things off and checking with Teddy, because not all of those types of heaters turn off if they fall over. So we have to do some fire prevention stuff. So have the conversation with Teddy because there are things that she would rather have some of these offices try before we put in a heater, because putting in the heater throws off the system because we're heating a section. So if we can put in a ticket to talk to her about the temperature in your office, if you have an office or a space that you feel is running cold or hot, so that they can do an assessment of how they want to address it. Because some of them she's saying heaters, she's saying put in these little things. So that's the Public Works response and tickets.
One comment about the heaters, please do not plug them into your battery backups. Plug them directly into the wall and don't daisy chain them off of power strips.
Thank you, Jacob.
You don't want to see electric cords just running to the computer system, I take it.
Parks and Waterways, Matt.
All right, major achievements and contributions. The Laclede redeck is almost wrapped up. Alex just got done rebuilding all the benches for that in the shop. So hopefully that'll be done this week. So we've actually hammered out quite a few docks this year, which is awesome. Typical, as you would expect, as the snow moves in. Winterizing Bonner Park West and Garfield Campground. Priest Lake Navigation Grant is still in motion, still getting the navigation lights put in thanks to Copper Bay. We're getting ready to launch for the Granite Creek Grant project, which is with Kramer. Hopefully they'll be starting soon. Grant application cycles are open, working on 2 grants this winter. One for Bonner East Groomers and one for Bonner West Groomers that'll help operations. And then the guys are in the shop working on vehicles. We're pretty lucky that we can do a lot of repairs for vehicles in-house and also do a lot of maintenancing and servicing, which honestly just saves the county a lot of money instead of having to take it somewhere. So it's awesome. We're really fortunate to have staff that can do that. And yeah, getting sanders ready for the snow and groomers and servicing, and that's the nitty gritty. As far as staffing goes, we're getting ready to hire 2 new snow groomers up at Priest Lake. We'll have a meeting this coming Friday up at Priest Lake to discuss that. Budget, we had a little bit of a snafu. Payroll wasn't split between our 030 and 038 account, so it's showing a little wonky currently. Auditing knows, HR knows, so they're working on fixing that, so that's awesome. And then everything else is looking pretty good.
Thank you, Matt. Yep. Recording office, Cindy.
We're recording lots. Just a lot of foot traffic with easement and boundary line issues going on in the county. And we're doing lots of alcohol renewal licenses. So that's about it. Budget's good, people are good.
Risk management, Christian.
Good morning, everybody. Things going well. Besides what I have written there, I have all the auto accident kits that have been distributed. So if you don't have one, let me know. Department training sheets have been sent out. Please complete them and return. And then one section on there is check with HR for their recommendation for the year, and same with risk. And we are rolling out the Safety Plus. That's the new Think Zoom system. This platform will do training and also accident reporting and other features too, maybe some claims management too. So I'll email this out, but basically on 11/18 at 2 p.m., we'll have like a Zoom type call that will be recorded so you can see it anytime, just with a demo of it, and everybody will get their passwords and all that. And then on 12/1, it's not scheduled yet, but if we are having a department head meeting on 12/1 with training, they can do another course too for the managers with the more advanced. And the basic plan is just roll it out with a few training things so you can see the features and get comfortable with it. And for the department head training sheets, you don't have to use the platform. You can do in-house training too. And the final thing is just talking about the space heaters. What we did in the past, we'd like to keep doing is if you do use a space heater, check with facilities first. It's so important because the fire hazard and also the load. And in the admin building, if one place gets heated, it throws off the thermostat for different areas. And so I know it causes a problem for Teddy's group. We're trying to balance the system where one's hot and one's cold, that type of thing. So please get permission first just to make sure she's aware of how it's plugged in and where it is. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Christian.
You want to freeze out your neighbor strategically, talk to Teddy.
Put your heater next to the thermostat. AC comes on. Road and Bridge, Jason.
Oh, we're skipping that one. Oh,
Yeah, they were skipping you.
Huh?
They were skipping you, right?
That's what she said.
yeah, you already
Skip me. Any rate, Everything's looking good in the road and bridge world. Right now, we're converting things over, like our trucks to sanders and plows getting put on. Getting ready for the winter months. We did finish up a couple bridge projects, 16.5 miles of asphalt, 65 miles of chip seal, 350 miles of mag. So, I mean, we did a lot this year. There was a lot of projects that went on and everything went really well this year, which is great. We did have one incident where a water truck got rolled. When it went up on its side, it actually totaled our water truck. That's been in with Christian now. Looks like we're gonna get about $40-some thousand to try and replace about $150,000 setup. So that's one hit that's gonna come to my budget coming forward, so that you guys know it's coming. We'll be looking for a used water truck, or maybe taking one of our old trucks and converting it. I did ask to keep the old water truck as parts, because parts are really hard to find right now, and we can cannibalize that thing pretty good with our mechanics. So by keeping it, it was only $3,000. A rear end in that truck is $4,700, so it's money ahead just to keep it, so we can use it for parts. The budget right now, I see Matt mentioned it a little bit, when we look at our salaries and stuff. Auditing hasn't rolled the money back yet. They're working on that right now as we speak. So that's the reason it looks like it's kind of jacked right now, but it's really not. It's just, they just haven't rolled the money back to fiscal 25 yet, but they are in the process of doing that. You also won't see your levy amounts yet, because they're still working on that based off of what was approved by the commissioners for the budget. So it's kind of fruitless to talk about our revenue sources on that side of the levy at this point until it is moved in, which we'll probably see later towards the end of this month, I would imagine. But other than that, that's about all we got going for right now.
Shoshone County is having a huge auction of different kinds of vehicles that you might, where some of their descriptions are, does it run? And it just says, I don't know, battery is dead. So it might be worth looking at what they're doing down there.
Yeah, we'll look at some of that stuff. The water trucks, we have to have them for our MAG program.
Yeah.
It's just, there is no ifs, ands, or buts on that, so. It's unfortunate it happened. It was one of our seasonal operators. It just, that's the way it goes sometimes.
I'm sure you check, like military and state,
Yep.
surplus
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah, I bought that sweeper, that pickup sweeper that's doing it even does our yard here now, which you guys used to contract that out, I think 10,000 a year. I want to say I paid 15,000 for that, and it was a $350,000 setup. So that was a pretty good purchase for the county.
Nice.
Yep.
I have a question for you, Jason. I've been trying to ask you this for months, and I always forget. There's private business parking vehicles in the District 3 yard, the tree service.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what's going on there?
They just asked if they could park it there overnight. We didn't have a problem with it. They do give us kickbacks sometimes when they're working on our right-of-ways. When we ask them to come in and do tree service work, they'll come in and not charge us for that by being able to park there every now and again. It's just been kind of a handshake deal that we've had with them since they got here.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I bring it up is I don't want to speak for the assessor's office, but the assessor's office parks their vehicles there,
Yeah.
especially in the wintertime. And there's been some situations where they'll employees of the assessor's office will come back, and there will be one of their crews park their vehicle like inches away, and they have to get in through the passenger car door or things like that.
Anything like that, if you guys bring it to our attention, we can go talk to them.
Okay.
About that. If you guys would like them to not park there, we can let them know that to you.
Or
It's
maybe we
worked
can-
out pretty beneficial for the road department, because we have a lot of power lines in our right of ways. And when we're cutting and removing trees, that's where it kicks back for us. We can have them come in and remove it rather than hiring contractors at $3,500 a tree, it's been pretty beneficial on some things.
Okay. Maybe you two can talk sometime or something. I don't know if there can be some kind of dedicated parking for both entities or however it might work out best for everyone.
There was a concern brought up by my foreman about the porta potty out of Priest River. I'm not certain how that works out there. I know DMV has had it there for quite a while now because folks desiccate in the parking lot because they have nowhere to go. So they use that porta potty. We don't have them come in our shop and use it because that's where our heavy equipment is constantly moving by our bathrooms. And that would be a pretty big risk for Bonner County to take on, having the public in around our equipment and our shop. So that thing has been picked up and removed for some reason, and our foreman has already seen people out there doing their business in our parking lot. So I'm not certain who I should talk to, if it's DMV, Sheriff's Department, or if it was a commission thing that had them moved.
That's Jolene talking to you.
Hi, Jolene.
Hi. So we noticed also, I thought maybe you guys had it removed. So I did reach out to Christian to ask him about it because it was brought to my attention too. I have not heard back from Christian to see, because I know it's been there for quite a while. I don't know who has been paying for it because I know back when all of this started, like you said, it got put there because people were going underneath of the big building. So I don't, like I said, I did reach out to Christian probably 2 weeks ago to ask about it, and I have not heard back.
Okay, thank you. I'll reach out to the sheriff too and see if, because we're not paying for that one. So I'm not certain who is. Maybe that's why they came and got it. Nobody's paying for it. It's hard to say. But we'll figure that out because it needs to be fixed, especially with the amount of people that are at DMV.
Well, something positive came out of this morning's meeting.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
All right, solid waste. Is that going to be Melissa?
Yep, it's Melissa. We were really busy in October out at the transfer station. All of us went out there and we took Columbus Day and we deep cleaned the scales. That was not a pretty job, but they looked great afterwards. Then we had them calibrated and they said they looked really good. The culvert was completed out there, and then staff installed the skirting around the tipping floor chute. So let's see, the office staff has been working on a new brochure to go out with stickers this year rather than just a letter to explain all of our new changes with what stickers and fees and all that go. And also we've been working with our sign person to make new signs that includes all the holiday closures because now the old signs will be obsolete. Our budget's fine so far. Nothing crazy out there. One of our site attendants accepted the new facility support technician position. And then with that, we had 4 of the other site attendants rotate through sites. So now we'll have one site attendant position open up at Colburn.
All right.
Other than that, we're just getting ready for winter. The sites have slowed down a lot, so.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.
Technology, Jacob.
Morning, everyone. Amount of tickets that we are getting are pretty standard for this time of year. I think one of the takeaways I got from this morning's meeting that I think is really helpful and something that we've been looking to work on, something we've been discussing in our updates as far as the email migration, and something I've had a chance to talk with Commissioner Williams about is the training and development. So that's going to be pretty big within the next few months, and I think ongoing. We've actually met up with Jonathan and his team as well to kind of get an idea of what we're going to be doing and what our training looks like going forward for the county as it pertains to everything, pretty much email AI, multi-factor authentication. We are looking to get that enforced, get that implemented. It should be something that we all do. We've had discussions with the Idaho Supreme Court about how they're implementing their multi-factor authentication at the courthouse for those users. I have talked with Christian. I submitted a video a while back for the Safety Plus piece of software, that training software that it looks like he'll be utilizing pretty soon. So I'm excited for that. I think we'll have a lot of good training opportunities there. We've also been working and testing. We do it internally for our department, but in testing with other various departments, we have a resource called BookStack. We've had discussions about, in the past, the county has had an internal intranet, sort of a centralized place for county employees to find information at a glance. I think we can utilize BookStack. It's free. It's hosted internally by us, managed by us, and we will go about the process of identifying who departmentally will have the ability to update content that they deem fit for the rest of the organization to use, if it needs to be. In the case of, let's say we're going to go through with the email migration, which I'm going to bring that up in a minute. But let's say departmentally we have policies and procedures or something that you want your staff to be able to read and review and maybe follow. BookStack can be used as a great resource. My thought way back in the day when we had implemented our intranet, which I don't think got a lot of traction, is we didn't set it as a default web page. I would like to at least look at setting our users' workstations, browsers, Chrome, Edge, whatever it's going to be, their default web page, as soon as they open up the site, will be BookStack, in this case, like our knowledge resource. So any notifications from commissioners, human resources, emergency management, my department, we can put information there, and every county employee can read or follow it. So training is going to be a big part of what we're looking at going forward, especially within this year. As far as the email migration, I sent over my sole source packet a week ago, maybe more than a week ago, and I haven't gotten any feedback from legal on, whether or not it's okay. I've reached out to Commissioner Williams.
He gave feedback because I saw him as well, so I know
I
you
was
were
gone the
out.
past 3 days.
Yeah.
I still have tons
So
of email.
you've got an answer. So his answer was that it looks like it's okay. That's what he gave
Great.
as an answer.
I did not see it on tomorrow's agenda. I did see one of our renewals, which I wanted to segue into renewals for a minute. I think what would be good for myself and my department is I can bring to your attention the renewals that we have coming up. So a lot of times it's software, obviously. Software and subscriptions are renewals. I can bring that up. If there's budget changes, I can bring up, Tyler is a 5% increase every year is what we've been told. That's one item, but I think it might be beneficial. I don't know how I can do that confidentially, or if we do that, if I want to bring up our renewals to everybody here. I was just talking about some licensing with Alex before the meeting started, stuff like that. If we want to go over my budget more with like a fine tooth comb.
But those things are done in the regular budget setting of what your renewals and what we're going to pay for.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give you, what Commissioner Domke was, I think, at least what I took from what he was getting at, or maybe what you guys were getting at, was if you want to know what we have coming up, because our renewals do affect all the other departments as well, most of them. So if you want me to have that discussion with everybody during this time, I'm okay with doing that. It's just I don't know if we need to make it public. But
I don't think that's what Commissioner Domke was asking for.
Okay.
I think he was asking more for, you see any spikes in your budget that you wouldn't normally have at this time of year, something out of the ordinary.
Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard for me to give you that information because I will get a renewal notice maybe a month in advance. and they've increased the price. So it might be outside of my budget, and I can tell you,
I think that, but that's not outside of the usual and typical for your type of budget. So
Not
when you come
necessarily,
into, when you come into your fiscal year, your budget is inclusive of what are the services that have been purchased in your past fiscal year,
Yeah.
with some give and take of an increase of a percentage. So when you're coming
Yeah.
into the regular business meeting to get that approval, one of the things I think that we should change is when people are asking for things, it's been budgeted for, and then that there's that change, so that it's clear that this is just a review of what we've already
Yeah.
done, and now's the time to pay for it. He's talking about kind of that spike, kind of like what Road and Bridge identified was, we already bought their truck, but we're going to see approximately $120,000 increase in budget because they had an unanticipated. That's an impact to a budget that's a change from what you anticipated. Yours is the way in which business is conducted has some ups and downs, but it's a product that you're just renewing. Because
Right.
not everything is a group discussion. Not everything you learn is something that has to be in a workshop for everybody to know
Okay.
that you learned something either.
Yes, that
trying
is
to-
my intent, high level.
Yeah.
trying to just keep everyone in the know,
Yeah.
so to speak. I'm constantly looking for ways to reduce costs and enhance capabilities. So we're looking at our threat prevention platform with an MDR, and that will be coming before you guys pretty soon. So just so everybody knows, think antivirus. We're looking for a change to the antivirus, but keep the same security, but try and get a better price. Those kinds of things. I don't know if that's something you all want to know. It will be affecting your workstations, obviously, because we will have to uninstall certain things, but that's coming down the
And
pipeline, too.
technology is looking at AI. What is a reasonable platform to use to make it uniform across the organization? That's another one that you were working on in terms
Yeah,
of.
so moving forward with the email migration to Microsoft, Copilot could be our primary AI platform. And the reason why is because the licensing that we will have been provided for each user would mean that you have direct access to that with your own credentials logged in. It also provides us a way, if we have certain departments with policies, we have elected officials with AI policy already in place, there would be a way to log how it's used, and then if there's an incident, that we could go back and review those logs.
And how
So
we're
Copilot would be
storing that
correct.
information. And so that's one of the,
And that
that's a
would be
big thing to work
internal
on.
to us, yeah.
Yep.
So we got lots of stuff coming up. I'm excited for training. And I would like to get, we've discussed this, I think, a little bit, but I would like to get not just department heads, but if we can do individual department trainings, we can schedule them however we need. We figure that out with Christian as well, as we can get training videos out to everybody. That's pretty much it. Other than that, yeah. One of the things I wanted to reiterate, one last thing, sorry. Public record requests and record request workflows. I have a process right now where the request won't come direct from any one department, but it is filtered through Veronica and either legal. If I get record requests asking for any elected officials' emails, I would like those elected officials to at least know, department heads as well, however that looks. But I just wanted to reiterate, I think the workflow should be, it comes through Veronica, unless I'm corrected. I just wanted to put that out there. That's it.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Veterans, Tom.
Nothing other than what's written.
Nothing other than what was written. However, I would be in favor of a quarterly meeting or less. And I was told earlier that they're going to remove A and D budgets from the director's concerns. Is that still an accurate statement? So if we do that, then I have a $7,000 B budget to worry about. I'll never have a concern.
Never say never. All right. Thanks, Tom. Jolene?
I,
I did not know anything about the meat budget.
Can you hear me?
it wasn't.
Yeah,
so-
just a second, please.
There's some clarifying, because to remove it from concerns, that,
It's not that. So what we've done is just, if you are within a fund that has multiple departments, those A&D budgets have just been pulled up to the fund level. So no, nothing really changes for you, Jason, because you are the Road and Bridge Fund, right? So you're still going to see your A&D, but departments within the general fund aren't going to see their A&D anymore. Those are budgeted at zero.
Gotcha.
Okay, same with Justice. Justice Fund is rolled up, so individual departments within the Justice Fund won't see that. Election still sees theirs because it's just within elections by fund.
All right. Jolene, DMV.
Nothing exciting going on here. Our new employee started the first of the month. She's catching on. No problems, no technology problems. Everything's good.
so Christian messaged that he doesn't know, hasn't been able to find out about that porta potty. So I think the county has to decide, is that something that we need to provide, and then address that if we need to rent one and put it back. But he said that he looked and he can't find who put that there.
Okay, yeah, because it's been there for, I think it started during COVID. So it's been there for a while, but like I said, I'm not sure who's been paying for it. Or maybe nobody, like you said.
Maybe they dropped it off and forgot where it was, and then, so if we need one, then we need to address putting it out there.
For the public.
So,
Is there anything else that needs to be discussed?
I think it should also be a handicap one instead of what was there before.
That way Jason can use it too.
I think that is a good comment, though, because we have to have accommodations when we're in charge of that, and there is a difference between the two. And so since, I think Christian knocked off, oh no, he's still there, that if we do have to put a porta potty out, we have to identify who's covering it, and I think that we have to make sure we're including that accommodation.
Yep, let me know if I can help with that.
We're not pouring concrete for it, though.
I just have seen a few people pull up
Yeah.
wheelchairs and vans and stuff to go in there, so.
Yep.
that makes sense.
Dennis?
Dennis Engelhardt, assessor for Bonner County. Relative to the DMV location out in Priest River, that whole facility is not user-friendly. It's not friendly to the public. We have no waiting room in there. They're given a restaurant alarm to go out and sit outside or in their cars when it's, below zero or 100 degrees. So it's not very friendly. We really need to take a serious look at how to improve that facility out there.
Okay. Anyone else? Jessica?
Jessica with the auditor's office. I just wanted to let all the department heads and electeds know, the county now has a county-wide GFOA membership. I sent out an email just a bit ago to give you guys access. So if you were to go to the gfoa.org site and find the join button, and then you're going to put in Bonner County can have, every employee could have access to the resources that are available on the GFOA webpage now. Trainings and whatnot and materials can cost money, so, know what you're looking at, I guess. But I would think that every department would get something out of that website, just because it gives you a ton of best practices, whether it's managing grants or your budget and all of that. So it's a great resource for all of us to have. I hope you guys all do. It's a free membership, and then it's tied to Bonner County, so.
Books and trainings are very expensive. She's not saying that the county's saying
Correct.
that we're covering those costs. But one of the things that can happen with that site is asking if it's a book that the organization could use, because the Board of Commissioners is responsible for internal auditing and keeping of a library, it's worth us looking at, is that something that we as an organization should buy a copy of? But the books are expensive off of that site, but they do have a lot of resources, if you haven't seen that. And if you're looking at it for like capital, because I purchased quite a few of the books off of there. If you have an interest in something, message and ask, because you might just be able to borrow a book that's already been purchased by someone. But they're really not books. When you figure out you paid $50 and you got a pamphlet, it's like a pamphlet. So they're expensive for what you get, actually. But they do have a monthly update that's actually free that you can download with specific topics.
All right. Seeing nothing else, it is 11:21 and this meeting is adjourned.